I had to do this video review because it means so much to me as a child of the 70s and 80s. It's not an audio review, it's a review about the sidekick to audio. You know, the lesser known part of films. The aspect of film that plays second fiddle to the glorious sounds of a motion picture. And that's the actual visual motion picture part. This review is about the world-famous film emulation plugin called Dehancer. Now, I'm not what you'd call a professional cinematographer or a DP. Sure, I've made some money shooting and editing videos many times, but I'm basic. I'm an audio guy, and I'm reviewing a video product. And not a moment too soon, if you ask me. You see, long have us audio guys suffered as video guys review audio products and give out audio advice, a lot of it terrible and totally wrong. So, I'm turning the tables. So I'm just some guy being even more of just some guy. It's diabolical. Well, I'm going to be honest, it's 1,578% nerdy stuff, and it's already upon you. I'm Andy Dufresne. Behold the intro. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can be notified the minute new content drops. Cheers. We interrupt this regularly scheduled program to bring you this breaking news. It appears that the almost completely unknown and hugely unpopular YouTube host, known occasionally as a recordist, among several other monikers, has caught a strange fever and is currently addicted to a fast-acting dopamine booster known on the street as Dehancer. Our producers have secured footage of this dastardly addiction in action. We urge caution when viewing these clips. They shockingly span several future eras, not yet perceived to some, and past eras likely forgotten by others, and are thus not for the faint of heart. If you want to know how I did the audio and video processing for that old news anchor bit, become a society member by joining my channel membership. I try to post, some cool stuff for my members from time to time, and I filmed myself filming that bit and then screen recorded as I went through the process of creating that final look and sound of it, step by step. It'll be wicked boring for most people, but if you're into sound design and VFX or any of that stuff, you might actually like it. For the rest of that test footage, I just went around capturing stuff and then just, turned it into film with Dehancer. All of that footage I shot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K in B-RAW, and then I graded it inside Dehancer. So basically, it just made Rec 709 and then did all the grading in Dehancer after that. It truly is stunning. It's a stunning plugin. So sure, that footage might look that good with, a 12-bit camera. But, what about an 8-bit camera? Here's some footage I shot at some family gatherings in the last couple of years. The footage is a mix of Canon M50 and DJI Mini SE drone. Both of those cameras are 8-bit, and both cameras have never even heard of log or raw video. Let's roll it. So, you see, any footage can be made to feel like real film with Dehancer. Dehancer started as a Photoshop action contrived by Pavel Kasinko, and he called it the Worsizer. Yeah. Well, that was back in 2014, which incidentally was Dracula Untold and The Hobbit Battle of the Five Armies ago. After all sorts of successes, it rebranded and moved into the video realm as a film emulation plugin for DaVinci Resolve at the start of 2020, I think. Ever since, this plugin has become world famous, and if you're into filmmaking, you've probably heard of it. So what does the plugin look like inside, under the hood in DaVinci Resolve? I'm not going to go into all the technical stuff or even go through all the settings. There are all kinds of awesome videos that do that here on YouTube. Instead, I'm going to, briefly touch on what it does. So here's some footage I shot that you saw earlier. And now I'll add the Dehancer plugin after I've converted it to Rec 709. Now in the FX tab, you can see all the Dehancer controls, and there are a lot of them. In the input section, I'll choose Rec 709 and proceed. Here we've got some exposure, tint, and white balance controls, along with defringing controls. This is to correct your footage before processing. From there we've got Film Developer, and this is really cool. It allows you to create your own recipe for developer solution, just like we had to do back in 1894 when I was a young lad. Then we get to the Film Profiles section. This part allows you to choose the meticulously emulated type of film you want to use. It includes all the characteristics of that type of film, from Cinestill to Fuji to all kinds of Kodaks, Polaroids, Konica, and so many others. You'll have too many film stock choices, including authentically reproduced black and white film, which you already saw when I did that 50s newscaster thing. Next, we've got film compression. Usually on a negative film, clipping in the highlights occurs much later than on a digital camera, so they've found a way to emulate the film-like compression of this tonal range. This makes the resulting image look more analog. Next, we have the expand tool, which provides a separate manual control of black and white points. Moving on to the print section, which recreates the optical printing that would be done with film. Here you can choose your desired print profile and then adjust several parameters therein. Now we're here in the color head section, which is based on the analog color correction tool that was integrated into photo enlargers. Basically, it changed the color of the light used for print exposure when printing to positive film. Next, we have my favorite section, film grain. Here we can select which type of film grain you want, from 8mm all the way through to 65mm, and ISO values ranging from 50 to 500. Or you can select custom and have total control over the look of the grain. The super amazing thing about this film grain effect is that it's not an overlay. It literally interacts with your footage. It's an algorithm. It's like actual film grain, and it blows my mind. Next is the often overlooked part of recreating the film look that is very important: halation. Halation is the film emulsion effect that's visible as the red-orange type halos around bright light sources and contrasting edges. Be careful with this one though, it can be easily overdone, and it should be subtle in my opinion. Next we have bloom, which is the glowy, dreamy look that you sometimes see in older films. I tend to use this sparingly. Now on to film damage. We're talking dust, hair, scratches, stains, and emulsion irregularities that inevitably appear on film. I used a lot of film damage when I made that newscaster bit. It worked beautifully. Next we have film breath. This is the accidental change in exposure, contrast, and color from frame to frame as we see in older films. It's caused by uneven emulsion coating or development, or even an instability of camera shutter. Once again, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, I'd be careful not to overdo this one as well. And now to my second favorite film emulation setting, gate weave. This is something I've noticed my entire life. Even when I was a little kid, the jitter, the bouncing and the shifting of the image as the movie plays. This is caused by gate weave. We can especially see it on titling in the older films. It's the mechanical swinging of a film strip as it's being pulled through a frame window of a film camera. And I couldn't live without it. It gives me such a warm feeling to see that jitter. Lastly, we have the vignette settings, and this is pretty self-explanatory. But just in case, it's the darkening or the lightening of the edges of an image. It's used today as a creative choice and can have a huge impact on your image. And those are your film emulation settings. The rest is for checking your work and deciding the amount of this effect you want to apply in total. You can also generate LUTs or increase the quality of emulation and other little, stuff you can do at the bottom here. And that's the rundown. If you saw that intro ultra short film that I did at the beginning of the LOM Geophone review I did last week, I used Dehancer on it to give it a more filmic look, like more of the 70s kind of thing. And man, did it ever. Dehancer is available on Apple, Windows, and Linux. It's also available as an iPhone app, and for Lightroom, and for Photoshop. So let's get down to the brass tacks. Are there negatives? How much does it cost? And should you buy it? Well, here are the negatives that I've found while using Dehancer. Number one is it's extremely taxing on your computer. I mean, a lot. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm running a 2019 Intel i5 iMac with 32 gigs of RAM. It's not exactly a powerhouse computer. I'd love to upgrade, but I simply can't afford it right now. Yes, I seem to have a lot of great gear here in my studio, but I'm not wealthy. I'm just irresponsible. So I've had to utilize the pre-render options inside DaVinci Resolve when I apply some of the more heavy included options like film grain or halation. I would imagine even on an M1 or M2 Mac, it would be very taxing. But I can't be sure, your mileage may vary. Even a final render takes longer than usual. It's really CPU or graphics card intensive. The only other negative that I would mention is the cost. It's not cheap, though I do understand why it's so expensive. Okay, so here's the cost. You can own a lifetime license for Dehancer Pro for $449 US. It's not cheap. It's not cheap for anyone. I don't care who you are. But with that price, you're getting, input camera profile, Cineon film log support, 63 different film profiles, each with print options, tool profiles for 8, 16, 35, 65 millimeter film, film developer, film compression, Kodak 2383, and Fujifilm 3513 print, CMY color head with print toning, algorithmically generated film grain, film damage, halation, bloom, film breath, gate weave. Oh man, gate weave. Defringe, vignette, monitor with false colors and clipping indicators, a LUT generator, and ACES and DVR wide gamut support. It's a lot of stuff. Still, it's $449. But if you want to use Dehancer Pro for, let's say just, one project or two projects or just for a short time, you can actually rent it. You can get full access to Dehancer Pro for a year for $299. Or you can get it for 6 months for $199. Or even for 3 months for $149. How about stripped down versions? Yep, they've covered that too. Dehancer Lite has lifetime access for $199 or rent it for as low as $69. All these prices are at the time of this video, because if you're watching this way in the future, maybe they've changed, I don't know. Or just one component at a time. You can buy one component at a time, like algorithmically based film grain or bloom or film breath or halation, each module. $99 each, or rent as low as $29. So there are options if you can't afford the full lifetime access amount. It's worth mentioning that another well-known, very good film emulation plugin that has been used for years is called Filmbox, and it costs $349 per year just to rent it, and $1,000 to own it. And that's if you're an indie filmmaker with a budget of under $2.6 million. If you're over that, you'll be paying as high as $5,000 for that plugin. Food for thought. Okay, back to Dehancer in particular. By the way, this whole entire video has been graded in Dehancer. Okay, so yeah. Now, if you've been looking up this plugin on YouTube, you'll probably find a sea of YouTubers who fully recommend this plugin and offer you a lucky 10% off the price if you use their promo code, which you and I both know is an affiliate program code where the YouTuber stands to make a commission when you buy it using their link. Yep, we probably all spot those YouTubers. Well, as it turns out, it's your lucky day. Because if you use the code TPS, you'll get 10% off the price of Dehancer. And considering the massive cost of this plugin, that's like $50 off. And I know this may be unheard of, but I'll also receive a small commission if you use my code to purchase this plugin. So we both win. And by the hammer of Thor, I could use the doubloons. So, should you buy it? Like, honestly. Here's what I'll say about that. If you're as smitten with the look of film as I am, and I really am, and you want all the meticulously recreated artifacts and gate weave and algorithmically controlled grain and halation and glorious color and, look so close to real film that even some pros would have a hard time telling the difference, then yes, buy it. But if you just want the occasional film grain look and don't care about halation or film breath or gate weave, who doesn't care about gate weave? Then I would suggest skipping over this purchase. It's not for you. That's my honest take on it. But what do I know? I'm just some guy playing just some guy on YouTube. And what's worse, I'm an audio just some guy. So, full disclosure, Dehancer didn't contact me. I contacted them and I asked for a copy. I keep seeing these insane videos using this plugin and I just had to have it for my channel. So, that's how I got hooked up with them. I've got to say something right now that I'm sure lingers in the back of some of your minds. I'm sure there are people on YouTube who talk highly about products because they're paid to, or they're given free products in exchange for the review. But here's my theory, and it's important. I may be totally weird and different than other people, but I don't care about free products that I don't care about. I have enough dollar store junk around here. If it's a piece of shart, then I won't care how many junk products they send me. I don't want them. Do you see how much effort I put into my videos? The energy I get to create these videos is derived fully from my love of the product I'm reviewing. If it sucks, or if it otherwise is underwhelming, I don't get the creative energy. Full stop. Sure, I'll do the review if I agree to do it, but I will be honest about it. And I've already pissed off a few companies doing it that way. But I would not feel good about steering people in the wrong direction because I received a product that I didn't even care about to begin with. It's not worth it. But that's just me. And in the case of Dehancer, I already wanted it really badly because I've seen the results. And chances are, if you clicked on this video, so have you. And you've seen what it looks like in action all the way through because this whole thing has been done with it. So it's as simple as your take on it. Does it look good to you? Is it of value to you? Because if it is, I mean, it's really, really good. It's amazing, really. I should also say that Dehancer did not pay me to say this, but that doesn't mean I'm above being paid to say something. I'm not. I'm not above it. I'll just always let you know that I've been paid, and I haven't ever yet. But even if I was paid, it would have to be a great product before I would do it. A product like Triangle Circle. Triangle Circle, a company that's a cut above the average shapes, on sale all last month. Anyway, my analysis is that if you can swing it, buy it. And buy it hard. Buy it true. And buy it well. Oh, and whatever mistakes I've made, I've paid for them. And then some. Bye now. End transmission. Let's focus. Woohoo! There we go. Okay, watch these other videos. They're mostly about audio stuff, maybe video stuff, who knows? Anyway. Bye.